Good afternoon. It's Friday. It's hot, so I'm indoors. Anyway, I want to talk about the welfare bill and the disability benefit cuts that the government are just talking about at the moment, and two areas in particular which seem to confuse me somewhat. Not in that I don't understand them, but more that they don't make sense from a decision point of view of why they are doing it. So the first one I wanted to talk about was these are both under PIP basically, and getting people back to work as they'd like to do. So they've talked about PIP. They're going to give a 13-week kind of period where they say, okay, we'll continue to pay you for 13 weeks while you find a job. In theory, lovely. Who doesn't want to be paid for 13 weeks, or not 13 weeks, but up to 13 weeks, I guess, while you're looking for a job? That's nice of them, isn't it? But here's my question. The people that are off work with disabilities, conditions, health conditions and stuff like that, what job can they get? Bearing in mind, when you go onto something like, let's say Indeed, and you go, okay, filter it by local area, you filter it by, let's say, not everybody with conditions can do full time, so whittle it down to part time. Suddenly you've knocked a whole load of jobs out. Then it's got to be something within your skill set. Not everybody's got, a wide skill set. Some people are very specific with what they can do, but their condition might be stopping them from doing that. So there's a lot of there's a lot of difficulty in finding the right job for the right person. Now, not only that, but from an employer perspective, they're going to go, oh, hang on. And I know they're not allowed to discriminate against people from, any sort of ethnic background, religious background, age, sex, and disability, of course. It's probably a bunch of others as well. Now, I know they say they don't do that and they won't do that, but if you've got two people next to each other that one might have, say, a health condition that might mean they might have a lot more time off, for example, for hospital appointments, whatever, and another person that doesn't have that. If you're an employer, which one would you go for? It's a simple question, but I think it's an obvious answer. So getting these people back to work is going to be a lot more difficult than a lot of people think. Also, the employment rate is dropping. So unemployment is on the rise at the moment. So it's not an ideal time for all this to go through. I don't think there's an ideal time for it to ever go through, but there we go. So that's my first point. My second point was still remaining with PIP, and what they don't seem to be realising, even though it's really obvious, is PIP is an in-work benefit. You can get it if you're in work. So, okay, it's great to get the people that aren't in work back to work, but there's loads of people that are still in work anyway claiming it. So it all seems a bit weird. Taking that full circle, PIP, I know they want to reduce the cost because welfare is getting a little bit out of hand from a costly perspective. Okay? I get that. But why aren't they looking at fraud in universal credit? It's in the billions. It's not rigorously assessed like PIP is, like if you claim PIP, you've got to have doctor certificates, you've got to have medical certificates, you've got to have diagnosis sheets, you've got to have assessment background stuff. They can check through into your history if you give them permission to. And I'm not being funny, if that's what is needed for PIP, then there's going to be tiny weeny little amount of people that are claiming it that probably shouldn't be, compared with universal credit, where you ring up and say, hi, I'm earning this, can I have some universal credit please? Okay, it's not as simple as that, I get that, but there is a massive amount of fraud, billions, I'm talking billions of pounds, and it would cover the cost that they say there's a hole in this, whatever it is, 6 billion or whatever they need to claw back. It's there. Also, DWP, I'm not being funny, they spend £87 billion operating each year. So that includes salaries, which, fine, there's a lot of people that work there. I think there's hundreds of thousands of people that work there. It's a big place. And but if there's hundreds of thousands of people working there, it tells me someone's not doing their job properly. If they can't process all these things, which should technically be automated as well. Anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. I thought I'd throw it in there. Obviously, you can take my 2 cents and put it in the little pot that the government wants off the disabled community. I don't know what else to say. I know there's, a lot of people really campaigning against this. One of the guys on here that I follow, Lee, is just, he's behind this massively. He goes out there and he's got a loud hailer. He's got a big voice and a big personality anyway. He's got a loud hailer as well. And he goes out there and he gives it some stick, or a PA system, whatever he's got. But he makes himself even louder. Brilliant. But there's him. There's obviously charities, Scope, and a few others that are doing a lot to, push MPs. But I don't know, what's the world coming to? I don't know. And there we go. Anyway, I'm bored now. I think I might have a sleep. Bye.